I'd like to wish everybody a happy holiday. I know there's a lot of things going on this season. Happy winter solstice. I just want to extend that out to all of my listeners and thank you for being here, for listening, and for joining me all these years that I've been here on Achieve Radio to hear over the years different people that I've talked to. I hope you've had as much fun as I have, and tonight I'm reflecting on the gratitude that I have for that, and I'm just really thankful that you're all here, that you're all listening, that you're all doing the work, that you are paying attention, and that you hear the messages that go out through my show. And, I have heard from a lot of you over the years. Many of you have written to me personally, thanking me for the material that comes out through my show, for the people that I have on my show, that they've learned a lot, that they have benefited from the material that I've discussed over the years, as well as just the information, and just being able to say, hey, I've never heard of that, or this book, or this person, and it's somehow furthered their experience and benefited them in some way. So, over the winter solstice for me, I celebrate that. I also celebrate Christmas with my family and loved ones, and so the holiday season is a very special time of year for me. And as I sit and reflect over the winter solstice this weekend, I'm reminded of what that is, and the time of year, and how it really calls you to generally try to go inward, to be more at peace, and just practice the art of being instead of always doing. But then what we're asked to do through the holiday season is a lot of doing. So we're actually pulled into this polarity of, the rest of the world is going around us saying do, 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 and intuitively inside of myself, we want to be, there's a sense of wanting to be, to just be at peace and to be quiet and to be still. So I'm interested tonight in talking with my very dear friend and sister and teacher and wonderful spiritual just yumminess. I know she's smiling right now. Maria Yraceburu is here to talk about this time of year, the messages that we can, hear from her, what she needs to tell us, so that all of us can hear her voice and what she has to say. She comes on my show now 4 times a year, only 4 times a year, so it's a special event when we have her. I will be having her on for the solstices and the equinoxes as we continue forward. And she will be doing this with myself and all of you. You're certainly welcome to call in and talk to myself and Maria. And if you have a specific question, or if you'd like some insight onto something, we'd be happy to talk with you. You can also send a question through the InQuick program on achieveradio.com if you prefer not to be on the air but would like to ask a question. And if we can, we will be glad to get to you. Maria has been here before, like I said. Many of you are familiar with her work at Yraceburu Earthwisdom. Her links are all on my Achieve Radio homepage. You can scroll through them. She's the author of many, many wonderful books, and you can find those as well. We have a celebration on the winter solstice she's going to tell us some information about. If you're in the New Mexico area and you would like to attend, I highly recommend it if you can do that. And we also have a pilgrimage coming up in April to the Garden of the Gods in Colorado that Maria will be talking about tonight as well. So I know that was a very long way of saying welcome, Maria. I hope you're still there.
Yeah, I am. Hi, how you doing, kiddo?
I'm doing well. Well, I'm really excited because, a lot of people have been emailing me or, just bringing up the topic of conversation about this crazy hustle-bustle feeling going on and yet wanting to be really, quiet like I was talking about. So I'm really hoping that you'll, talk a little bit about that for our listeners and, give them some recommendations.
Yeah, from the first part of November until the end of December, it's really more of a downtime for Mom and how we align with that. Excuse me just a second. When I was a kid growing up, I'm going to talk about some things that happen in fourth world that apply to now, because I want people to understand that since 2012, a lot has really changed about how we do things. And when I was a kid growing up, this was a time when, there was a lot of storytelling. We had the hub and bub before, and we were making craft kits gifts for people, because we don't celebrate Christmas per se, but we have holiday giveaways. So that comes with the solstice, because we always have a big ceremony, and the ceremony is where all the dreamers, all the vision keepers, all the seers, all of the oracles come together, and the ceremonies are at night, and they stay awake, and they do what we call wakeful visioning, and they're sharing the messages of the upcoming year and what we're supposed to do. But before we go into that solstice gathering itself, we're doing hubbub, but it's inside hubbub, slow down, paint, make jewelry, make pots, do the kind of things, tell stories. When we're making power pieces, we're constantly storytelling, so the power of the story, power of the lineage goes into that piece. And it's a great time that we used to spend with our grandparents, with our parents. Everybody would come home to the res and be together in that time. It was a great family time. So I don't know that it's less hub and bub, but it's less stress, if that makes sense.
Well, it sounds less stressful.
Much. And that's kind of the whole thing now about going into this fifth world consciousness that we keep talking about, is how it's not supposed to be stressful. We're supposed to stretch and grow, and the cycles of Mama Earth have kind of set that up for us, but we over the last couple of 1,000 years have kind of like run away from that. We've separated ourselves. Today, actually, for me, today has kind of been a dissociative sensation day. And we're in the Raven. We just went into the Raven moon a couple days ago, and we're getting ready to go into that solstice. And so for me, I was born in November, so it really touches me physically, emotionally, spiritually, when this transition takes place. A lot of times this is when I'm creating my greatest works. Most of my books were written in the wintertime, and most especially when we make that flip right after the solstice is heading into the equinox. There's a 3 lunar cycle period from the beginning of January until mid-February that is all about us documenting the dream. What are they giving us? What did they give us on that special night of the winter solstice? How we celebrate it now is that we have a fire ceremony out here at Penobscot. I live at this beautiful 76-acre ranch outside of Las Vegas, New Mexico. It's about an hour from Santa Fe. Anybody listening from there, you come on out unless the path is snowed shut. Anyway, so we get together and we have what we call a Seven Sisters ancestral fire ceremony now, and it's honoring that part of ourselves that dreams about being more than. The thing that's driven a lot of metaphysical and traditional people to be who they are today, and why we carry these messages out in the world, whether they're ready for them or not. It's our job to do that. It's our awakening right now. We're coming into a new dynamic that says we have to enact dreams and visions that we are given. We've held back in the last few hundred years because most of us didn't believe dreams and visions could happen. We got separated from that. What we're seeing is more and more magic happening here on Earth, what we call Naya Bhujalana, the Earth magic is happening, and little moments. I guess you could call them vortexes in time, are opening up to us so that we get glimpses of what we used to believe was impossible. But now it's well-grounded and it's documented. You know, we're picking up spirit and photographs. We're seeing things. People are reporting their dreams happening more often. So in the fifth world, our psychic abilities are supposed to be on the upswing, meaning that we're going to have more of them than we ever even dreamed possible, but also that we're going to perfect them. And I don't really like that word perfection because it kind of traps us. But in the term of mastering something, I guess that's the way I'm trying to use it, that we're going to master a lot of these abilities that have lain dormant for a long, long time and take great effort to work with before 2012. So this is what we're getting ready to have happen. And right now, what I see is that everybody's kind of like, well, for the first time, I think, in a long time, I think people are really longing for the slower pace, and yet are still being caught up in a whirlwind. And I think that's going to be passing in the next year or so, that we're going to actually start seeing more of that. Oh, you know, it's more important to be with your family and start doing more things together than the actual need to be out shopping 900 days of the year. So, anyway,
well, I think that answers it. Well, that answers it. I mean, I can certainly attest to this. In fact, I was just talking about this today. You know, when you withdraw and you go back into yourself, you know, the rest of the world can feel that. They can, you know, people in your life will call you up and say, how come you haven't called me in 2 days or 5 days or,
right.
you know, 2 weeks or whatever. You know, they notice. And but what you observe is an interesting thing because it makes them curious about how you are so calm or how come you don't have a lot of stress. And so then they may start, you know, realizing that that's not the only state of mind that they have to be in. They don't have to be caught up in the hustle and bustle. They can take the time out to really pull back into their authentic selves and really, you know, feel their way through the season differently. I noticed on space.com has an interesting article for those of you listening. I was just looking at this earlier, and it says something that caught my eye as I was reading it. And it goes on to say that on December 21st, the sun stops moving southward, pauses, and then starts moving northward. This pause is called the solstice, which is a word from the Latin word sol for sun and sisto for stop. Similarly, on June 21st, the sun stops moving northward and starts moving southward. So what it visually, you know, when I think of this, it reminds me of the cobra's head going up and then coming down, like a movement or a flow. But it does the whole planet stops. And so, you know, don't you think we feel that, you know, when people are going through their daily grind and they feel that, and that's exactly what you were just talking about, this inner kind of pull to be quiet, but yet everything around us is a whirlwind. So what do people do? Do they just go ahead and say, let me just listen to my body and trust it? I mean, that's really where we're moving towards, isn't it?
Yes, it is. That's actually what's going to pull you back to the cycle with the planet. It's real important to have our physical cycles be in alignment with the planet because as she changes, it's about having judgment on the fact like, okay, today I ran out of energy at 2 p.m. and I just don't feel like being around a lot of people or whatever. And not taking that to the next step of, I don't feel good. We have to have a certain amount of tolerance for ourselves and just say, you know what, let me watch this for a minute. Observation's really important. Let me watch this for a minute, whether it's us and something's going on physically or emotionally or it's happening with somebody else. If we just take time to watch it, you know, like 2 minutes. It doesn't really take all that long. We can have a better assessment, and we can go forward with the actions that we need to take. When we're looking at what's happening with the world, and say I'm having these physical sensations like I was talking about today, I ask myself, I always ask myself, is this something I'm supposed to pay attention to? And then almost will test it, because I do have a tendency in the winter to become reclusive. And, some of that's okay, but you don't want to go way over the other way either. And since we're still in recent time history with the fourth world and the soul sickness, it's an easy thing to get drawn back into the familiarity. It's what we know. And since our body's a physical thing, it gravitates to what it knows. It wants an interpretation. It wants an explanation for what's going on. It goes through a little bit of what we call body fear as it's entering these new sensations. So like today, it was kind of like you stood on a boat for a long time and then you came ashore, sea legs, or I'd been on a roller coaster and I just got off or something. There's a certain equilibrium upset happening, and it's because on Saturday, time is going to stand still. Okay? That's what the reversal is. It comes to a complete stop. In Apache cosmology, we call these days the day the sun stands still. Okay? This is great power because it opens up that illusion for us, and we actually feel the shift. So it's kind of like the other side is trying to reach out and talk to us in a language that we don't all understand yet. If you start to look at your body more as a transmitter, think all the time ham radio. I don't know. A lot of people don't even know what that is anymore. You do. You're catching up, me, David. So anyway. Or even, I guess, obviously in high school they had the little hand-carried radios, too. And I don't remember what the hell they're called. Anyway, the little radios, if you think of your body as that, and I just saw, as I know, like Hillary, I pay attention to a couple of web pages. One's called The Watchers. And I get great information and confirmation there to the prophecies that the elders have shared, because science is starting to prove the things that, our prophecies say. And the other day we were talking about a new star was pulsing this energy, and it's a communication force. So I'm watching. I'm doing what I do. I watch. I'm a time tracker. So it means I look at the energies of Mom, and I know what her cycles are, and then I can look at these confirmations and the prophecies and can say, okay, this is what's happened. Now these signs have been seen. So this is the next thing now that we have to, I don't want to say obsess and be looking for, but make our consciousness aware of when it does come to fruition. If that makes sense. It's kind of like deja vu, I guess.
Yeah, that's a great resource. I just want to tell people one more time, because it's really important. I follow the Watchers website also, and I have found the same thing to be true with what Maria just described, is this incredible confirmation of, whatever it is you might be feeling or going through, but it's even, what other people have talked about, the prophecies. It's really a great resource. It's a well-checked, fact-checked, sourced kind of site, and it's really a good quality site. So I highly recommend it to people if you're looking for something to follow that might show you these earth signs, because I have to tell you guys, the earth connection has been one of the most profound connections for me. And over the years with working with Maria, I first met her in 2008 when she came on my show for the first time. I've started to work with her after and have been since, and still do. And I work very closely with her. I'm down in New Mexico quite often. I've worked in some of the group settings and also personally with her. It has really changed the way that I see things and how I connect to things. It's a very real tangible tracking type work. And if that's what you're looking to do, or you're looking to understand the energies of the synchronistic flows that come through your life, where you feel miraculous in those moments, and then, they kind of slip out, like being lucid dreaming. When you're lucid, you're oh, wow, this is, amazing, and you're practicing and doing things, and then it goes away. This kind of work teaches you how to keep that lucidity in your life, in your spirit, in all elements of your life, really grounded into something that absolutely is very, very real. So I just want to put that out there, and I just want, if you're listening and you have been looking for something like this to teach yourself or to further your skills or to know, to better understand what that quality is, this is definitely the woman that you want to work with. You want to go to Tanashkada in person, and you want to make sure that you spend some time there, because the land is absolutely amazing. It's holy land. And it's a very special place, and it's just one of those things that you really want to find out more about. You can go to her website, Yraceburu Earthwisdom or Tanashkada, and those links are, if you can't Google that, then the links are right here on my Achieve Radio homepage. So continue on, my dear. I just wanted to really put that out there, because I just really feel very strongly that I have seen it more and more, that people really are picking up on this synergy that's happening and the confirmations that come through, and they don't know if they're going crazy or if this is something other people are experiencing. And I can testify that other people really are experiencing this too. And I believe it's a shift not only in consciousness but in the paradigm. And it's people like Maria who can help guide you through those things, and you're going to work with who you're called to work with. I mean, my clients work with me, Maria's worked with Maria, I work with Maria, Maria works with me. I mean, we just all kind of like one big happy family sometimes. But
that's
it's real.
What it is.
Yeah, it's real.
That's what it is. It's a typical family.
So where do they? So keep going.
Okay, sorry. We do this a lot, guys, just because we're close. Well, what we're looking at, I want to talk about the winter, so let's go back to that. But I also want to talk about what you said about the land and the cycles and the whole bit. One of the things that makes the getaways and camps and stuff we do out here so powerful for people is not necessarily anything we're doing, but because we understand the cycle of the land, and then our elders have given us different ceremonies, different types of teachings that go with that cycle of the land, and that's the only time we do them. So by having everything set up so that, I guess you could call it an eco-spiritual immersion healing or something, I don't know, there's some big words, that's a big problem. We'll try to explain these things, and there's no real words for what is happening right now. So talking about it, being part of groups that do different things, whether it's a drumming circle or getting together once a month to chit-chat, women's groups, men's groups, whatever. It is really important for us to be talking about it. It's not a time to shy away or be afraid somebody's going to think you're nuts. You know what? There's more nuts out there that are dead on than there are sane people, okay? So don't let the things that held you back in the past do that now. We're entering a year, technically we entered it in November, that's New Year's for us. We're entering a year right now that we call the year of inner strength. And it's a time where you're going to be looking at the fact that you are your own hero. There's going to be a little looking back to see what we have accomplished, what we've left behind, what we've been through, and owning it in a different way. Instead of us being the reflections of the victim that has gone through so much in their life to arrive at who they are. We're going to look upon things and we're going to find pride in the fact that we are who we are today because of this. We have great strength to move forward. And all it takes is turning around and stop looking at the past and start looking at the future and to place our trust in spirit, in our guides, in our ancestors, and most assuredly, our synchronicity with Earth. We can't do anything these days without considering her too. And the science is where we do it. You know, we're all moving into more ecologically minded as we learn what that is. You know, in the past, things have happened, and yep, wasn't good for Earth, wasn't good for humans. But now, instead of dwelling on that, what are we going to do to put it right? That's going to take looking forward, not looking backwards. And so when we reach the New Year's this year, it's very impactful. People are going to have a sense of that power, and there's going to be a lot of prophetic dreaming that's going to take place, and that means it's going to happen. You can have something occur, and I would bet within 2 weeks, sometimes less, but within 2 weeks, something's going to happen, and you're going to know that's what you dreamed about. Now, it may not be the detail for detail kind of thing, but it's going to be close enough that you're going to know. And the reason they're having us go through this right now is so that we can finally accept our power as co-creators and understand that the map's all laid out. All we got to do is follow it. And it's going to take us to much greater dimensional knowing than was ever dreamed possible. And if you take what you believe right now and you multiply that by right now the number that's coming in is 4,800 times. If you take yourself and multiply that in good psychic power, in good integrity earth connection by 4,800, you're going to arrive at where you're going to be not a lot long from now. So listening to your body's the first step in learning cycles. Okay? And I've always advised to people, I think I even told you to do it once, to keep an energy diary to see what your cycles are throughout the day. And do that for, about 21 days and see what you come up with. Because if it was all in your capabilities, the first way to start bringing yourself in alignment is to look at that diary, see the patterns. That's also what a time tracker does. We're like an old-time scout. We learn how to read the signs and then put all the pieces together to make the puzzle make sense. So anyway, so you're looking at this, you're looking at the patterns in this diary of energy, and what you come to understand is, now this does not always work for everybody, because I do know some people still have 9-to-5 jobs, is that to the best of your ability, you try to align the activities that you choose to engage in with your energy levels. So if you say 7 to 9 o'clock in the morning, you can't hardly drag yourself out of bed. You know what? That's a good time to be praying and meditating. If you get a burst of energy 3 in the afternoon, well, that's when you go out and mow your lawn. Okay, now these are exaggerations, okay? These are simplistic. But
well, these are great. They're great, by the way. They're great.
Okay. Well, that's what art is, and that's what we got to get to. It's not just the slowing down, it's the simplistic. Because, I told you, we got this month and a half where we're going to have prophetic vision. And then check this out. The mom blasts our hearts open. And when does that happen? February 14th. And you know why? Because we all agreed it was Valentine's Day. We created that. That 2-week period right there after Valentine's Day, we created that because all of us made an agreement about a reality. Hello? That's how the future unfolds.
I hope everybody's listening really closely. If you're not, get closer to your speakers and turn the volume up. Okay? And then I want you to make a note in your mind to listen to this again after in the archives. Okay, just had to interject that.
Okay, well then I'm going to tell them that after Valentine's Day, because that'll take us into the spring equinox and we can go back and talk about more things, but what happens after Valentine's Day? Well, shoot, we return to a state of innocence like no other. Why? Because we have our heart popped open. Because we all fell in love with being in love. So now we all got spring fever. Okay? And what do? We walk around like little lovesick puppies. Okay? We return to that state of innocence, that type of love that makes creation work. Okay? That makes everything beautiful. And so that's pretty much, the month of March. Mom really does work on our behalf. We sit and we look at, and when I say we, talking about other people that do this work, it's not just, I spend most of my time with Native American elders because that's how I grew up. That's familiar to me. That's the language I understand. Creator and Mom made it so that we each have someone that we can understand. And that's why it's presented in so many ways. But none of it's owned by anyone, This is all universal. So we go and we talk to the people, to the guides that we have an understanding with, that we have seen time and time and time again that the magic works. And we see what they have to do to be in partnership with that magic. Because we don't own it, we don't control it. We're in partnership with it. And as long as we do our part, it will continue to work for us. But Mom, really, from earthquakes to volcanoes to the shifting polar axis and what that has done, we're hearing all about these new stars. Where did that come from? Now there's speculation over the recent one, whether that's actually even is it part of our solar system? Because they have no star system attached to it. And they're like trying to figure this out, right? So all of these things speak to what we call prophetic stories. Okay, we see in the prophecy storytelling that we got as kids how all of this is relevant. It's all symbolic. It's all a play that we create, that we understand. And by we, I'm not talking just about humans, okay? There are a lot of people that want to get into this co-creative magic and stuff. It's too much about humans. It's about humans partnering with everything else, including the star nations, all our relations here on Earth, every little energy that can be pulled in that can support something in the dynamics of love. It's what makes the world shift. It's what makes new things happen. It's what keeps us going on. There's the hero thing again. This year we're coming into being a hero. Think about when you were in your worst to your worst, okay? Now, some people's worst seems worse than other people's worst. But also keep in mind, it's not competition, okay? That's not what it's about. Everybody that was born in the fourth world of soul sickness went through trauma, okay? We all have ingrained in us PTSD that we're now healing to one degree or another. So when we look at this, we understand we have to partner with all these things. It's now time. We are the hero. What called you out of your deep, dark moment? That's what we need to look at. What kept you climbing out of the pit? What kept you from completely letting go? You know, there's so many beautiful things. And all of this right now, it's kind of like turning our head and refocusing us from that more victimization status into this more hero thing, where we understand we carry the power to partner with everything. My grandpa, when he was trying to explain it to me, one of the ways he said it was like, okay, if you can imagine yourself in a crystal ball, okay, and you're like the center of this crystal ball, and God takes you, or creator. I prefer to use the word creator because I think it's more harmonious to all the faiths. So anyway, so sometimes, I don't know, I like to point that out. I try to go with words that more dynamics can understand than less. Anyway, so here you are. You're in this crystal ball, and this is your little vehicle, okay? And if nothing else, think of it like, you know, if you have a cat, sometimes people will put like a rat or something in a ball that'll roll around and their cat can chase it. Well, that's your little crystal ball, okay? You're in there. And he gets through this river at the top of the, I'm at the Rocky Mountains, at the south end of the Rocky Mountain in the Sangre de Cristo, and he takes this to the top of the waterways where the water is born, and he drops you in. Now, from the moment you are dropped into the water, what you see is where the water is coming out of her breast milk, okay? And so, even though you are in the flow of water that is going the other way, you're in your crystal ball constantly trying to reach Mom, because that's who we got disconnected from. And so you're running, right, in this ball, getting absolutely nowhere, because the river's pushing you the other way, further and further away from Mom, okay? So, if you think now that you're surrounded by minnows that are also going downstream with their silvery iridescent colors in the water as the sun hits them, you have all of this swimming against you, and you are trying to run upstream in this crystal ball. Now, if you're not nauseous yet, there's something wrong with you. Okay? Somewhere there's a disconnect within your circuitry, okay? Here's the deal. Grandpa told me, to get back to Mom, you have to relax. You have to relax to open your heart. So what happens when you relax and you open your heart and you stop running around on this little treadmill ball trying to get back upstream? Well, the fish in the force of the water turns that little ball around, and all of a sudden you're looking the direction that everything is going. And yeah, it's still a roller coaster ride, but now you're going in the same direction. And do you know where all those things are running to? They're running to the nursery of creation in the ocean. They're going back to Mom. So by relaxing into it, by just listening to your body as it tells you when to be active and when not to be active, there's a natural sliding into this synchronistic time that we call alignment with the planet. And like I said, I do keep track because I have a tendency to be a recluse, like I think some people can. There's a difference between taking downtime and being depressed. Depressed is what causes the reclusive. You start to get a little, too much energy, and then too much time by yourself with spirit is also not a good thing. The whole thing about being these transmitters is that we're supposed to get this information and take it out there and share it, so that the more minds, the more consciousness, the more activities that can take place in that conscious moment, the more likely we move the evolution of life forward in a good way, so that future generations will have not only what we have had, but probably quite better than what we have had. And I thought that Queen, the Apache prophet, said that in the fifth world, we are not going to have our borders anymore. There won't be war. That we won't need doctors and we won't need attorneys because we will abide by the laws of Earth, the sacred laws, and we will be developing the ability to self-heal. So as we come back more in alignment with the cycles, so too does our mental anguish, so too does our emotional game playing, and the physical becomes balanced so that we actually live the life of spiritual beings. And that's our ultimate goal, is to live reflective of who we are spiritually. And so each year we move into that. And right now, the folks say, it's time to dream. It's time to dream. And an interesting fact is that we call the dream world the real world. We call this world over here the shadow world in our cosmology. Over here, it's the only place that things are not known yet. And it's strictly because the physical body can't hold that container of energy yet. We have to keep bumping up the frequency and adjusting to it. So that's part of the physical sensations we feel in the winter. Just a little medicine trick, too, though. Think about it. When you close up your house in the winter and you turn your heat up or you light the fire in your stove, you guys need to have some water going in your house that's steaming, whether you have a humidifier or you have a pot of water on the steam. We have a little wood stove, so a lot of wood stove people have like these special things that are made out of cast iron, that can come in tea kettles or dragons or whatever. They're really cool. But anyway, you put water in there and you let it steam, and you can throw some herbs in there, basil, thyme. I throw eucalyptus and lemon and cloves in there. Kind of smells like Thanksgiving around here, but everybody can breathe and nobody gets sick.
Imagine that, the plants helping people, huh? That's good.
Hey, they were the ones that invented the word love, and they were the first ones to sacrifice so that we all could have life, and they keep us whole. So, the plants take care of us, and we need to be taking a lot more care of the plants and their natural capabilities, not their human process capabilities.
Yeah. So, Maria, I want to just touch on one thing, real quick for people too. If they're interested, you align the events that you schedule online on your website. These events are actually aligned to the earth energies that you track, that your family has tracked for generations. And so when people participate in them, or they come to Tanashkada or wherever you're teaching, and you hold these rituals, events, or other people that teach within Tanashkada, this is what they're experiencing. They're aligning their experiences with these earth energies. So I just want people to understand that, when we as Tanashkada or Yraceburu Earthwisdom does these events, it's something that you want to pay attention to and participate in if you can. And because you're learning how to align, and over time, you become more and more accustomed to that vibration, to that frequency, to the cyclic energies that she's discussing. You actually experience them. This is not just something you memorize, like yours in elementary school. Memorizing things is important to some degree, but it's more about experiential, being able to go out and experience what she's discussing and talking about. And I really can attest to the fact that that's what you experience when you go and do these things. When you go on the pilgrimages, you're taken to places for a reason. The ceremonies are for a reason. These things that you experience are not just to make you feel better and go, off, but of course that does happen. It's meant to really help to anchor the cyclic energies into the multidimensional aspects of yourself. So I just want people listening to know, and I just wanted to make sure we explain that too, because this is something that is very real. And when Maria schedules these things or have these trainings, or you work with Linda with the hand healing, and all of these things are aligned with very real, very powerful timings.
Yeah. And it doesn't really take long. If a person really pays attention to the cycles and the energetic thematics that are happening, usually it takes one full solar cycle. That's a year for people to start to understand what's going on. But they have to have a certain self-discipline to pay attention. It's not just going to come. You have to immerse yourself in it. You have to feel it. And then, like I said, having people you can talk to compare notes to is really invaluable. We have an online study group called Spiral Dancing that we do. And one of the most important parts of the whole thing is the online discussion group that has everybody talking about whatever energy we're currently in. And it doesn't matter how far along they're in their study. It can be somebody that just started yesterday, and here they have the experience of all these people that have been doing it for longer. And when people finish their study work, they don't go away. They're just part of it, We continue on. And once Mom touches you, there's never any separation again. There's never any separation again. You may not know everything instantaneously, but what you do know is that Mom's holding you, and that wound is gone. And it puts you in a position of knowing your power, but also being humble. And a lot of people think that's a contradiction, but it's not. The confidence we have once we have been held by the mother in the partnership means I would say a good 90% of the time can walk our life with trust. It doesn't mean that there's not times that you don't go, freaking Mimi, but, we're all still in transition. That's what happens. I mean, if you're not going to go through that, well, guess what? You're not coming back to Earth because you're done. And we still got a couple worlds to go, and I don't know about anybody else. I mean, I do hear a lot of people say, they can't wait till it's done. But I'm having a blast. And I think the people that get it are having a blast. And they recognize that when they have to take that downtime, yeah, it may be inconvenient. It's not always on our time. But guess what? We're not supposed to be aligning her our time. It's supposed to be the other way around. Because, we have been aligning her to our time. And has it worked? I don't think so. Or we wouldn't have the problems we have now. So now it's time to turn around and face the future, turn ourselves in that stream of life, and let life flow to us, through us, and out to others. This is the way evolution progresses. This is the way we become more. I like growing with you. It's fun.
If you want more information on the Spiral Dancing program, you can go to spiraldancinglife.org, spiraldancinglife.org, and you can scroll through all of the different descriptions and how it works and learn all about it. It's all right there for you. spiraldancinglife.org. So you have a lot of things on your plate, Maria, and I know that you probably get asked this question a lot. And I know that we're kind of coming down to the close of the show, but I just thought that this might be something that we want to touch on during our time together here, is that how a person who takes on so much as yourself, who has so many responsibilities, and who has, begun to kind of pass your power on to all that is, and how you do that. And so you're beginning to kind of come to a different part of your life. And there's other teachers in the world who've been doing this for a long time, like yourself, and they have expressed similar, kind of quieting down, wanting to kind of move into a different place. And other people are kind of coming up in the ranks and doing different. So there's like a power structure shift. And, some people struggle with letting go of, the do all the time, or, having to be, teaching on going and going and going. And so when they wrap it up, like Barbara Hanclow, for example, I was speaking to before, she kind of semi-retired, basically. And she expressed this as well. And I'm curious what you would say to people who are perhaps, basically I know that they can listen to the show and get it and kind of understand what we've been talking about with the slowdown and aligning yourself with mom and moving into that position. But sometimes the teachers don't feel like they can really let go of the responsibilities because for whatever reason, and they just and I'm not saying they as in like everybody, but a few of them have expressed this, or this has been discussed, is how do you move into that from holding so much up all the time, to the release?
Well, it's a leap of faith. One thing I do know is, it's kind of like when you hit puberty. My grandpa told me when you hit puberty, or when your kid hits puberty, you have to trust that you have imparted to them as much wisdom as you have. And then all you can do is pray. Okay? Well, anytime you pass over power, you have to do that. You have to take this leap of faith, and you have to say, it's time for me to be moving on and doing this other thing and not doing this. Now, my life is pretty much time synced up with a medicine wheel. There's 24 lunar cycles, there's 24 hours in the day. It runs the same way. So I just look at that timing chart, and I say, during these times of the day, I do this, this, and this. And I even overlaid it on the plot of land here, and that's how we do things here, based on that lunar cycle. I'm turning it over, not necessarily because the people are going to do it the exact same way that I did, or there may even be something that doesn't get done. Somebody may not step up to the plate to do it. But if somebody doesn't step up to the plate to do it, when it's my time to move on to the next thing, it means maybe that thing's not supposed to be done anymore. We may be done with that part of it. But if I don't move on into what I am supposed to do next, I close down the flow. I have to continue on. And the entirety of our family community, because it's an extended family community, will be exactly what it needs to be. Because the one thing I do have confidence in, whether the ceremonies change, whether the ceremonies stay, the relationship with Earth has been created. We will be doing things to celebrate life in appropriate cycles. And the most important part is we have become a family. We have become a family, and we have learned how to work together.
And we will continue to, for sure. We are coming down to the last few minutes of the show, and if you're interested and you're listening, you can also find Maria publishes a Year of Inner Strength calendar, a calendar that coincides with the energy of the year. This year, it's Year of Inner Strength. You can go to yraceburu.org/2014-calendar. .html. You can find it, download it. It's a very, very reasonable price, $14. You can download I think it's $14.95, and you can download calendar, and you also can sign up for daily inspirational messages that come in. And I have to tell you that these messages are aligned with the calendar, so you get a reminder in your email. If you don't print it out and actually have it tacked up someplace, you get the energy wherever you are, mobily. And it's really a wonderful way. I've been using it very closely this year, and it starts in November 1st, 2013, I believe was the first day of the calendar, and it continues on till next November. So it's a different type of timing. The days are still the same technically each month, so you can put it up and follow along on the days, and each day there's a little word that goes with the energy of the day, and it's really up to you to figure out how that energy aligns and maybe journal about it or some, whatever calls to you, however you creatively express it. And what Maria reminded us so well of tonight was that it is time to share. It's time to share our dreams. It's time to share our visions, and it's time to keep a record of those and not just keep it all to ourselves in our corners and hide it from the rest of the world. We really need to align with that. When we're out of time, Maria, thank you so much for being here. We are honored with your presence and being able to share your wisdom with us tonight. And I hope everybody listening has been inspired and has learned something. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Hillary. I'll talk to you later.
Good night, everybody. Happy winter solstice. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year. I will be back in February. Till then, namaste.